7 p.m. Sunday, June 8th. And we got a little something to talk about. And the little something we got to talk about is the Carter 6. Now, hopefully, this little background music and shit that I got popping off is not bothering y'all. And just to be sure, it's not bothering y'all. Hopefully that's a little bit better where I can hear, but you guys cannot. So let's get into the album. Everybody been talking about it. Everybody's been pretty much crying, whining, wondering what the fuck happened to their favorites, you know, what the fuck happened to the GOAT, you know, the greatest of all time. I've been hearing the GOAT, the greatest of all time, all that shit for about 2 days straight, only because I wanted to indulge myself into what everybody else thought about the album. And then once I got a good grasp of what everyone else thought about the album, I said, okay, let me go and see if this album, the Carter 6, which was released June 6th, 2025, I just wanted to see if this was as bad as everyone was complaining that it was. So, listen to this album twice. Listen to the album once all the way through, for the most part. And then I listened to it again a little less fully as I did the first time around. You know, you at least gotta listen to the album at least 2 to 3 times just so you can get a actual good grasp of everything that you're hearing. After a while, I just got tired of hearing him talking about white bitches and how he was gonna fuck them and eat them out and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, you have a daughter that's dark skinned and has obviously got a couple insecurities about her image, because I was told that she got a whole ab surgery. I don't know, construction of abs. She got abs, and I guess she bought an ass or something too. So I'm just like, this is why, or at least one of the reasons why, that this young lady is going through all these unnecessary changes, like a lot of these women nowadays are going through, under the fucking knife to look a certain way, and really it don't ever really look great. But damn, Lil Wayne, I get it. You like white chicks. Does that have to be like it? Okay, so he's got 19 songs on here. Everybody was so confused about that, which I'm like, well, a lot of these rappers nowadays got damn near 15 songs and over on their albums. Like Drake tends to have a whole handful or 2 or 3 songs on the album. So this is nothing new. But I had to take notes because I did not want to come on here and just be ranting and ranting and ranting. So I do have a notepad, and you will hear me flip through these notes. So 19 songs, 1 hour and 7 minutes. Let's run through the features. We've got Big X The Plug, bravo, he did justice. Jay Jones, bravo, he did justice. Jelly Roll, I could have did without, he shouldn't have been on this album. Big Sean, bravo, he did justice. Bono, I don't even think I stuck around in the song long enough to hear Bono, but I don't need Bono on a Lil Wayne album, especially if it's gonna be used like this. I don't know. I could have done without. We got 2 Chainz. I could have done without the 2 Chainz feature. Really could have, yeah. Cameron Carter, you know, it is what it is. That's his son. If you want to put your son on it, fine. He was neither good or bad, so he's whatever because he's a kid. Wyclef Jean, what the fuck? Why you put him on the album? What was this trying to be? I wasn't understanding. what this was trying to be. I guess Maria, Maria. If it was trying to be that, y'all failed because that sounded absolutely horrible. Wyclef sound like he couldn't find the beat. He didn't know what a beat was if it fucking slapped him in the face because he was just saying random shit, I felt like. And then you followed behind with more random shit. Okay, didn't like it. Wyclef, no. I think that's Andrea Bocelli. Yeah, just no thank you. We had Manny Fresh. I don't even know if I stuck around long enough to hear Manny Fresh, but I would say we could have done without that. Little Novi, again, that's his son. Whatever, fine. He was neither good or bad because that's his child. Um, MJ MGK could have did without. Didn't need him on this. Kodak Black. um. Yeah, I probably could have. We could have done with. Well, actually, I would like to see you on this album because I feel like Lil Wayne's music is kind of catered to what you were sounding like, or kind of pictures yourself as when you made music that was a bit more tolerable or listenable. That's not a word, but more tolerable to Kodak Black's fans. But he didn't sound great in this verse. I get it. I don't know. I could have done without how he attacked this song. And yeah, those were all the features. So let's get into my notes. And I'm just gonna read them off, and we just gonna do it like that. This is what I felt. First listen. Album had no real structure, no weight or meaning to it. The beat selection was awful. Like, he chose the most basic instrumentals. This also reminds me of Eminem's music after Relapse from 2009. Y'all know when Eminem started to clean himself up, and I guess he wanted to make that positive motivational music. Is awful. And this is what this album kind of puts me in the mind frame of that music after 2009 from Eminem. And so I said, I'm overhearing him chat about white women over beats more boring than J. Cole's instrumentals. Now, that's not necessarily a diss to J. Cole because I appreciate J. Cole content, especially when it comes to what he speaks about. But I feel like J. Cole tends to just have just a boring type of, I don't know if it's the delivery or the actual instrumentals it is, but he's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, we're not talking about J. Cole. We are talking about Lil Wayne. And so again, I said I was overhearing him chat about white women over boring beats, more boring than J. Cole's instrumentals. Wayne should have called this something else. Yeah. Yeah, Wayne should have called this something else. Why no exciting features? No Nicki Minaj, no Drake, no Lloyd, no Tyler the Creator. Like anybody that he is typically known to make music with. No Future, no nothing. Why no really, really good or at least familiar artist that you would have in any other single or any other album? Why do we not have any of these people here? We have none of these people here. Like none of these people. Anyways, this is exactly why I want our favorite artists to stop rapping before they start releasing sloppy material. Once they get to a certain age and I think they got to continue to top themselves and top themselves, they start to release really sloppy, really horrible, not all the way through, thought all the way through projects. And it shows, Kanye, and it shows. Drake, and it shows Lil Wayne, and it fucking shows Eminem, and I could probably go on maybe, but those are the ones that typically come to my mind when it's like, okay, wrap it up. You do not want to be the GOAT and then have an album that makes you look completely idiotic. You know, not to say that Lil Wayne looks idiotic, maybe to certain people, but it's like, why would you want to tarnish your reputation and your name? Because for real, when you look at Lil Wayne kind of grew up with the millennials, you know. That's our time frame. We had Go DJ, we had all that other shit that was before Lil Wayne became the person that he is today. We grew up with him, so it's like we heard what he can do because we were there when he was doing it. And so the kids and the people and the generations and shit that's coming up behind us, Gen X or Gen Z, whatever gen they fucking are, whichever gen they fucking are, they don't understand Lil Wayne. So their first project might be to listen to the Carter Six. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This was y'all's GOAT? He don't sound like it. And it's like kind of heartbreaking because I think all our GOATs, all our favorites should end on a good note. Whether it be 3 albums and then you call it a wrap, if you don't have nothing else to talk about legitly, then call it a wrap. That's why I'm so fucking happy that Rihanna is not forcing herself to make music, because if it's not there, it will show. Y'all keep forcing somebody to put out albums and make music, make music. Well, when in reality, yeah, they're going to put out an album, but it's going to be trash just to shut people up. And then the fans is going to be like, well, they put out this horrible ass album. Well, what'd you expect? Rihanna, baby, keep pumping that Fenty and all that shit that you got. Keep doing all that soundtrack shit for the movies and all of that. Baby, if you do not want to put out no album, do not put out no album, because the fans will eat you the fuck up, because they don't want mediocre albums, because they don't realize that music artists don't want to fucking make music until they're 116. Okay. Lil Wayne sounded good as far as his voice. Like, he sounded clear. He sounded like he was present. But this album is confusing. And it isn't something that I would play in the car, not even when I'm cleaning the house or anything. Like, I hope his son enjoyed being on the album. But every feature he had on here, besides the few that I named earlier, they just shouldn't have been on here. Big Sean and Big X were like the two standouts, to be honest. Big Sean sounded so good. I'm like, damn, baby, where you been? Like, he sounded real good. And Big X, the plug and whatnot, I'm very new to who he is and his music, so I don't really know much about his background. But I do know that you would have thought that this was his album we were listening to, because he just made the song sound real nice and buttery. So I'm like, y'all did that. Y'all really did. But everybody else who's on the album, for real, y'all could have just kept that. Millennials will not appreciate much of the newer music that what the fuck that say? I'm sorry. Millennials will not appreciate much of the much of the newer music that our faves are putting out. And we won't. Like, I haven't listened to any of Kanye's new albums, like Donda or Donda 2, or I think he might have one called Vultures. I haven't listened to any of that new Kanye stuff, simply because I know that he's going to be talking about some bullshit, and it's probably going to be goofy sounding. And Kanye is one of my favorite artists. I'm talking about from way back when. Way back when he was the Louis Vuitton Don with the backpacks and shit. And he was, he was giving us the whole back to school. That was when things were great. But now when he making all this new shit, I feel like he just making it just because he can and he just wants to. He probably doesn't have much to even talk about, and if he does, he's probably talking about it in a very stupid and goofy way. I don't know. I do not want our faves to continue to drag themselves to the studio to make albums that they know their fucking fans will not appreciate. And this might be, scratch that, is one of those albums. So overall, I like the intro. It reminded me of some Cameron Purple Haze type shit. And again, I said Big X, Jay Jones, and Big Sean were the highlights. But Wayne's lyrics on some songs were questionable. He said some shit about his 14-year-old son and him, I guess, basically doing like a tag team with a mom and daughter. I'm like, so you're telling me that you're okay with having your 14-year-old son watch you have sex while you watch him have sex with the daughter, and you have sex with the mom? I don't think we need to be getting into anything spicy like this, especially with the Diddy shit going on. You could have kept that. So again, his lyrics were questionable. And just like the flows on some of the features, like some of the features, the people that were featured in some of these songs, they didn't know how to catch the beat. They didn't know how to find it. They didn't know how to rhyme on it to make it sound good. So that I thought was questionable as well. If this was a 10-track album, maybe it would be tolerable. But so many of the songs, like the majority, are very, very lackluster. And long story short, I give Lil Wayne's The Carter 6 a half star out of 5. A half star out of 5. So that's definitely a F for this album. But with the rest of his body of work, it's still very much so loved and appreciated. Like, this is why I don't want our favorites to drag themselves to the studio to put out material, because then the rest of their content, the rest of their albums that they've had prior, it damn near vanishes, because it's like, you left us with this. And then a lot of times with these fake ass fans, depending on what kind of fan they are, they don't want to even, they're not your favorite no more, basically. They hear this one trash album, and now the rest of your shit that they loved and adored is nothing to them because you made a mistake and you put out this one trash album. Me personally, I didn't like it. I may even go back and give it a third listen. Because again, some of the lyrics he was saying, he still got that same Wayne flow. Like, he can still rap. He can still fucking bring the heat to the song. Is the energy was there, but the execution was not. But the rest of his body of work, it stands up and it will still overshadow the Carter 6, even though it was horrible and it was a half-star type of album, a F type of album. I still say he's the GOAT because he is. I don't expect every single album to be A+. I do expect it to be, something that I can actually give a listen to and enjoy. But I don't expect every album to be a 10. So with that being said, I gave it a half star out of 5. That is for certainly a F. But Lil Wayne is still the GOAT, and I respect him, but I wish he just didn't call this the Carter 6. What y'all think? Bye, y'all.